What's up, everyone? Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Isaiah Copon. It's October 9, 2025, and this is Lift and Learn episode 143. In this episode, I'll talk about why recovery is so important and the best functional exercises you can do to not only excel in the gym, but also outside of the gym, so real life gains. Before we get into today's episode, I'll share what life has been like lately. Sometimes it'll be fitness related in some aspect. If you want to follow along, you can find me on Instagram at isaiah.copon or check out my website, isaiahcopon.com, where I offer personal training and coaching. The podcast also has its own page as well. That's at Lift and Learn Podcast. That's where I'll be posting short clips of the show. And now for today's episode. Of course. Okay, first things first. Come on, man. Hyrox is complete. But before I go into that, let me talk about the week leading up to it. It was my birthday way back when. First of all, I got the new Apple Watch. So excited for that. It's been such a good feeling being able to track my workouts on the watch again. The plan going into the last week of Hyrox, the plan was to take it easy and take pretty much the whole week off. So I pretty much did just that. My last workout was a circuit on the Sunday. I did some strength training stuff on Monday, and then Thursday I did a super light jog around my neighborhood, pushing the stroller around, nothing crazy. Hyrox weekend in Toronto though, that was pretty cool to experience, man. Sucks that I had to buy a spectator ticket to go on Friday, but that's all right. Got to watch a bunch of different categories. Honestly, everyone looked amazing when I was there. But when it was time for women's pro division, man, that got intense. The announcer was getting into it. He was getting everyone into it because I think if you come in top 3 in your age group, then you would qualify to go to Worlds in Sweden, which I believe is next year. I don't know if Toronto's a qualifying course, but I think it is. I don't know. I didn't double check that. Yeah, those women were fast. They came out of the gate so quick, and the ladies that won first place in that heat, they were flying. They didn't even look tired at all. There's a difference between those pro competitors and the rest of the field. So that was Friday. I also got some merch. Got this tank top that I'd eventually wear for my race, which was the next day. Also ended up getting another shirt. I just had to. I mean, it was my first time there, so kind of spent a little bit there. My race, not the greatest time slot, 12:20 in the middle of the day. I was hoping for an early morning slot, but that's okay. Got to have 2 meals in before my race. Typical, protein granola in the morning with milk, and I think it's chia seeds or some kind of seeds with some fiber in there. And then an hour before the race, I was walking around the event with my rice and my eggs, of course, eggs and spinach, typical pre-workout meal. I didn't think I would be nervous, but watching the field on the first day and the course itself in real life, that was pretty cool, but also made me nervous because the lengths of some of those events, it seemed kind of crazy when I was watching people do it. It seemed farther than when I was training, basically. So, okay, day of my event, I was fired up, but tried my best to stay cool, calm, collected, the drill. I just knew I needed to go at my own pace, stick to my plan, to not get hyped up by the announcer, the crowd, or the environment, especially when we were in the tunnel and the 10-minute countdown started. I've seen too many races now at this point where people are running so fast to start off and then just die off later on. So I tried my best to not let that happen. Also heard stories from day one about people being wheeled out on the wheelchair and people puking. So yeah, that had me a little bit worried for my own well-being, but I mean, I already committed at this point. So Saturday, that's when I went. So 12:20, I was warming up for 10 minutes beforehand. I didn't really do much. I stretched a little bit. I ran for 2 minutes, but I feel I didn't really need to warm up. I warmed up in the morning, 5 a.m., so I felt pretty good. Maybe I would have performed better if I warmed up more, but I don't know. I just felt okay that day. And then, yeah, I was off. Started with the run. All smiles there at first, My family was there with me. Some friends who were also competing this weekend. So I had all the support, which is great. It helped me get through some of it. Like I said before, ski to start easy. I just coasted there. Same with most of my runs. Sled push, though. Oh, boy. The second event. Yeah, that one got me. Doing the 4 lengths at that weight. Oh my God, my legs were feeling like jello after that. I had to walk for nearly a minute before I could even think about running again. It was like speed walking to the water station. It was by far my slowest run after the sled push. That really was challenging. When I was on that run, I was really thinking about like quitting and giving up because I felt like I had nothing left. But I used that slow lap just to get my legs under me again. And then sled pull, I just kind of took my time with that. I didn't want to get more tired. So I just tried to keep it consistent, even though it was whatever, a little bit slow. After that, though, I kind of turned it up. Well, I mean, not really. I think the biggest thing is that I actually paced myself, stuck to my plan because my first few events were behind the average just slightly. And then I was just able to like keep it up. So when I got to the 4th event, the one I was dreading the most, burpee broad jumps, I did pretty good compared to the field. I did that in just over like 5 minutes. The average was nearly like 6.5 minutes, and my runs the rest of the race were above average too. So rower, farmer carrier, not difficult. Lunges, I kind of crushed. I mean, shout out to my daughter for my lunge endurance. I probably did talk about this like way back when she was a newborn. I would put her to sleep every night, every single night by carrying her and doing 100 lunges before bed. Usually she'd be sleeping in like the 40 to 60 lunge mark, and I would just go to 100 just to, finish her off, make sure she's asleep. So the lunges with a 45-pound sandbag on my back, that took me like 3 minutes, 55 seconds, and the average was like over 6 minutes, I think. So crushed that one. And then wall balls, the last one, another one I was not looking forward to. That one I did in like 6 minutes and 15 seconds. So 6 kilogram, 100 wall balls. The average there was like almost 9.5 minutes, almost 10 minutes. So I tried to just go ham because I was kind of paying attention to my time. I had it on my watch that day. My goal, if you remember, besides just completing it, was to get under 2 hours. And I actually ended up completing that in less than 90 minutes. So solo open men's Hyrox in Toronto, I officially ended up with 1:28:59. So 1 hour, 28 minutes, 59 seconds. Proud of myself, and I couldn't have done it without, honestly, all the support, not only from friends and family that day who like showed up, but also due to the wall ball judge who like pushed me during the last push. I think there was like around 40 wall balls to go, and then she was just like hyping me up. So that was kind of cool, actually. But yeah, guys, did it. I feel super accomplished now. My training for the past 6 months or so, they paid off. I mean, big time. Proud of what I was able to do, especially from a mental standpoint. I think that's the biggest thing. And now I'm thinking about what the future of my training will be, which I haven't finalized yet, but I have a good idea of what I want to improve. When it comes to sled work, that has to be in the program because that was a big area that I think I could have improved on. All the events, I should be doing them to some capacity, even if I don't decide to do another actual Hyrox event ever again. But definitely my running, I have to continue to do that, also improve in that to the best of my ability. Obviously, the running during Hyrox is a bit different than when you just go out and go for a long distance run, but it'll help still. My average kilometer pace during the event was not great, only like 5 minutes, 41 seconds. So big room for improvement there. My events itself were actually pretty solid, I think. But yeah, I did it, over and done with. On to the next. If you follow me on Instagram, I've posted a bunch of clips there from the day of the event and all that. And I'll probably keep spamming that for a while because I earned it, okay? Going a bit off topic here, let's talk about tech, okay, which I haven't done that in a while. Of course, since the last podcast, the latest iPhone came out, but I actually wanted to talk about these new Meta smart glasses. Oh my God, I got so hyped. It was like announced a few weeks ago at this point. I watched the live conference because, I'm a nerd like that. I even set a notification on my phone just to watch it. I'm glad I didn't miss it. So they're smart glasses, right? Kind of cool because you get like a mini display on the inside of your glasses, and another person who's looking at you can't even tell that you have a display lit up, which I don't even know how that tech is like even possible. Highlight of the event was when they were showing you how to write, or how you can write with your like hands on your leg, for example, and then it's going to do it on the screen. Yeah, it was pretty cool, and the accuracy seemed to be pretty good there. Low light, on the other hand, was when Mark Zuckerberg was on stage trying to answer a call that was coming through, and he was doing the gesture to answer the phone, but it just like didn't work. Phone just kept ringing and ringing. The call even like disappeared from the screen, and it was still ringing. And the thing is, he tried this like 3 times, and because it was Mark, it was so awkward. But yeah, if you have time, go watch that fail on stage. It was pretty funny. One more thing I'll talk about. I mentioned it briefly earlier. I got the newest Apple Watch. So going from the Series 3 to the 11, yeah, that's game changing, obviously. I can track my workouts again. That's the biggest thing. The watch actually has space for apps this time around, so I'm actually exploring all that stuff. I love the Strava app when I'm logging my walks. All the new health stuff they've added in all these years later, it showed me how bad my sleep really is. I average like 6 hours of sleep per night. Definitely not great, but it was hovering around like 5 hours, 45 minutes for a while there. So I'm going to try to get that to near 7 somehow. Sleeping maybe 9 to 4 could get me there, but honestly, sleeping that early is a bit tough, and even waking up that late could be an issue with me starting work at like 5 a.m., but we'll see what I could do there. The good news is that my sleep is very efficient. My body knows that it has to be efficient or else it would probably just break down, and I'm surprised it hasn't already. But yeah, I get notifications on my watch again. Super nice. And when I'm at the golf course, I can get the yardages on there, which is nice. Don't have to like pull out my phone for every single shot. Plus, I can track my score on there too. So yeah, it's been handy for sure. Question 1. Why recovery is so important? This is a big one, an overlooked aspect when it comes to fitness and health, but there's definitely been more of a focus these days when it comes to recovery. When I first started working out over 10 years ago, nobody really talked about recovery. It was all just about working as hard as you can, sleep is for the weak, I'll sleep when I'm dead. That mentality is few and far between these days, but that's because now more and more people are realizing that recovery is an important part to your overall health as well. In terms of recovery, there's a few ways we can look at this. Let's talk about sleep first. This is the biggest needle that everyone can push and everyone has access to. Sleep more and or better, and your recovery will be better. I mean, simply put. Specifically, if we're talking about muscles, they don't grow in the gym. You can't just go to the gym and put on muscle onto your body and just leave and have your dream bod. It's not how it works. This happens in the recovery process. So when you're not lifting is when your body repairs and grows stronger than it did before if you gave your body the right dose of exercise. When you sleep, that's when your body will be recovering the most. Taking rest days, another form of recovery that might be overlooked by some these days. Muscles need rest, okay? So during the workout, you're creating these micro tears in the muscle fibers, and then when you recover and eat, that's when they build stronger. That's just your body's response to that stress and stimulus. It happens when you're resting and recovering. If you don't take full advantage of your recovery time, your gains will suffer over time. I know a lot of the times what I've heard from people in the past is basically there's a struggle between training hard versus recovering. And I used to fall into that trap as well. I never understood the importance of this as a young lifter. I just figured go all out during the workout and then sleep however long you usually do. That probably won't make a difference anyway, but there have been some studies showing that someone who gets more sleep could potentially gain more muscle. And it's a pretty large percentage if you're getting sleep that's optimal for you, which is more than 7 hours at the very least. Training too hard too often can actually result in less gains, especially if you're not sleeping enough. My best gains happen when my sleep is optimized, so that's something I continue to work on and find that balance in my life. And some of my clients are the same way. I have one girl who sleeps at 11 or 12, maybe even 1 o'clock sometimes, and then we'll train at 6 a.m. So yeah, it's something that you can definitely fix, but it does require a little bit of a lifestyle change. Bonus things you could do would be walks, sauna, steam room, massage. Resting doesn't just mean sitting and lying down all day. You might notice you get even more tight when you're doing that. A lot of the times when you hit a good leg day, your legs may be sore for 2 or 3 days. Actually, relatable right now. I did Hyrox on the weekend and it's Tuesday when I'm recording this and I'm still super sore. If I just sit around, that makes my soreness worse as opposed to walking, even though that's pretty painful to do right now. It does actually make my legs feel a little bit better when I get some movement in. Sitting around and lying down all day is not going to help with that. It's not going to help that soreness go away. It'll actually make it worse. I'm always encouraging clients to go for a walk at the very least, maybe do some dynamic stretches for your lower body just to get some blood flow going on down there, or wherever you're sore. Sorry. Don't feel guilty about taking rest days. I think that's another big one. They're a part of the process in order for you to see long-term success. Recovery days aren't just you slacking off. It's part of the whole training smarter process. It's where better performance shines through and fewer injuries and setbacks happen, and that's great for longevity and doing this for as long as you want to. The magic doesn't happen while you're working out. Just remember that one. I remember I was in college and I remember one thing mentioned by one of my professors. You can't just go to the gym, work out as hard as you can and leave bigger like permanently. Maybe you have a pump so your muscles are fuller, but that goes away. So the key here is that resting and recovering is one way to actually get bigger and add size or make gains or get healthier. Like resting and recovering is part of that process. So I would say it's an underrated thing these days. So get on it. Question number 2. What are the best functional exercises to help you in life? When it comes to the gym and working out, I've shifted my mentality to lean more towards how exercise can help you in life, like outside of the gym. And that's what most people are after anyway. I mean, that's my experience with actual Gen Pop clients that if you're a personal trainer, you're likely going to be training these people. I remember when I first got into personal training, I figured I'd be training athletes for the most part, or people who are like trying to compete on stage or do something to a really high level. But obviously that's not the case. People come to you looking to relieve daily aches and pains or just to go through their days a bit easier. And that's why this topic is so important. This is the key to longevity right here. It's exercise. And these are some of the ones I use on a pretty regular basis with myself and some of my clients. If there are exercises you should be pretty much practicing every day to some extent, this is probably that list. These movements I list are movements that will challenge your stability, flexibility, coordination. That's a big one, and especially your strength. So if you get better in those aspects, I guarantee this is going to make life just a little bit easier for you in terms of moving around, bending down, reaching, twisting. We're going to cover all of that. This matters, right? I mean, my clientele are mainly older folk at this point. Bone density might be declining. Muscle mass becomes harder to hold on to. It makes sense to train these movements in order for people to remain independent for as long as they want to. Simply falling over is one of the biggest injuries that you want to avoid when you're in your 60s and beyond. If you're strong and coordinated, you won't have to worry about that as much. First off, the king of all exercises, squats. This is the main building block here. We all need to be able to squat if you want to increase your chance of living independently for as long as possible. We squat all day without even realizing it. When you get off a chair, you're in that squatted position and you have to get off of there, mainly using your legs, ideally, not just using your hands and arms to push you off the chair. And this is why squats can be so important. In the gym, it's easy to challenge yourself with this one. I mean, you put a barbell on your back and just keep adding weight progressively over time. That's going to build you the strength and resistance. If you can squat more than half your body weight, I think you're in a great place when it comes to being able to do that on your own for a long time. If you can't squat with a barbell on your back, that's fine too. You could just use dumbbells instead. If you're really new to it, just use body weight. That's fine. Just make sure that you're practicing it. That's the biggest thing. And that's how it becomes easier. And that's true with all the exercises on this list. Everything you do in life, if you just practice it, it'll become easier. So yeah, practice these movements. Okay. So next one, deadlift. It should be no surprise that squats and deadlifts are the two best exercises in and out of the gym. Think about it for a second. Deadlifts will help in real life because it'll help you bend over and pick things up off the floor without tweaking your back in some weird way. It's funny actually, because since I started the podcast, I specifically remember 2 instances where I bent down in some weird way and picked up something and felt a slight twinge in my back. It wasn't that whatever I was lifting was heavy. It was just the way I moved was weird and I wasn't strong in that position. So for me, it was a slight thing that I felt, but maybe for someone in their 50s, for that to happen, they might not be able to shake that off, maybe. And of course, I've had clients over the years that have had to take a week or 2 off due to them straining their back in some weird way. Usually pain stems from weakness. If your core is weak, you're more susceptible to some kind of injury, and squats and deadlifts helps prevent those injuries, which end up being setbacks in your health journey. Next up, okay, so step ups. I love this exercise. Usually when I first train a client, I test them with this exercise because I love that it's a single leg movement. It challenges all the muscles in your lower body pretty much. Not only that, it will help you when it comes to balance and stability throughout the body as well. Believe it or not, you can make this a challenging exercise. You can carry weight while you do this. You can throw in a bit of a high knee at the top of the movement. You can carry weight on both sides or just one side. You can add some jumps in there, but that's a bit more experienced stuff. But yeah, this is one of the first movements I do with all my clients, usually even before squats or deadlifts, just because it can show me so much about their body moves specifically, and I've seen it all with that one. You really get to see your imbalances on this exercise, and from there, you try your best to correct what's needed with your programming. Okay, farmer carries, another great movement. Again, this one's challenging core stability, but at the same time, working on your grip strength as well. So this translates to real life for sure. Doing something like groceries, which is something you'll probably have to do once a week at the very least, if you're me, every other day. The stronger your grip, the better. They've shown this in some studies, comparing grip strength to longevity. If you have a weak grip, that's a sign of overall declining health usually. Let's not forget rotational movements. I just covered this like a few weeks ago. Very important because in our real lives, we move in all different directions. The only bad thing about the gym is that usually we're only using certain planes of range of motion. But twisting in the gym, when it comes to machines especially, they're hard to come by. Training movements where you're rotating is going to help you a bunch when it comes to real life. I mean, you're able to reach things in the backseat of your car if you need to, getting under some like small space, maybe even reaching overhead to a certain extent, looking behind you. The amount of times people slightly injure themselves by just turning their head quickly in one direction is too damn high. This has happened like maybe 3 times already this year with my clients, which is crazy. Like, I don't even understand. Like, they just looked like with their head, like very quickly, I guess, maybe like, let's say they're looking to their blind spot, I guess, in the car, and they like tweak their neck. Like, that should not happen. So prevent that now by doing this and practicing this every day, and it won't be an issue. That's for all these movements I just talked about. I love using the cables for these movements specifically. Wood choppers, pal-off press with rotation. They're great movements to incorporate into your weekly routine. I don't care how old you are, you should be doing functional movements. These are compound movements that challenge your whole body and even can help with brain health because of that added challenge the added challenge that you're giving your brain. So it's constantly working if you're doing something like a single leg stand with your eyes closed or something like that. A little bonus too, in terms of cognitive health, so that means brain health, there's a bunch of exercises on this list that will challenge that too, even something like a squat. That'll challenge you when it comes to requiring focus and body awareness. That's why a bunch of single leg exercises can help that too. Your brain's constantly doing these small micro calculations to maintain balance and keep the mind sharp. That's also just as important as your strong muscles, a strong brain, as cheesy as that is to say. And that concludes episode 143 of the podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Lift and Learn podcast. If you enjoyed the episode or the podcast as a whole, it would mean a lot if you left a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you are listening to this. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. New episodes are currently being released on Thursdays. You can find me, your host, on Instagram at isaiah.copon or visit my website at isaiah.com. If you want to follow the podcast itself, head over to Instagram and look up at Lift and Learn Podcast. Thanks again for listening. See you next time.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.